There are certain moments in life when someone enters your world and suddenly the idea of coincidence no longer feels believable. You may try to look back at the timeline and understand how everything unfolded, but deep down, you already sense that logic was never truly in control. This person did not just step into your life casually. They came with a purpose. And when they arrived, something within you shifted in a quiet yet lasting way. Even now, as you attempt to move forward, as you tell yourself it has ended, and as you try to reason through the pain, there is still something drawing your focus back to them. Not out of desperation, but with the gravity of something deeply familiar. If this message has reached you at this moment, it is not random. Meaningful messages tend to arrive exactly when the soul is prepared to receive them. Carl Jung once expressed, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens." And right now, something deep within you is starting to awaken. It is a knowing that refuses to remain silent. A feeling that insists this connection was never meant to be forgotten easily. You may find yourself at a place where you feel divided within, caught between holding on and letting go, torn between trusting your inner feelings and questioning yourself because of what you see externally. Silence has a subtle way of feeding uncertainty. Distance can make even the strongest heart question what it once knew with clarity. You may have asked yourself whether it was all in your imagination, whether you gave meaning to something that was never truly there. But if it were only imagination, it would have faded with time. Illusions do not survive when tested by reality. This feeling did not fade. Your soul continues to hold on to this person, and that persistence has a reason. Time did not weaken it. Pain did not erase it. Every effort to walk away seems to lead you back to the same quiet awareness. This person matters, not in the way the ego demands, but in the way the soul understands. This is not obsession. Obsession is loud, restless, and insistent. What you feel is quieter, yet far deeper. It exists beneath the surface of your thoughts. It waits patiently. It rises during still moments, in dreams, in sudden waves of emotion that seem to appear from nowhere. It carries the sense of something unfinished. When you first encountered this person, something ancient stirred inside you. It was more than attraction. It was more than compatibility on the surface. It was familiarity without a clear memory, a feeling as though you had known them long before this life brought you together. The conversation itself may have seemed ordinary, yet the energy was anything but. Your entire being recognized something that felt both safe and intense at the same time. That combination is rare, and it leaves a lasting imprint. Jung once wrote that the meeting of two personalities is like the interaction of two chemical elements. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. You have been changed, and whether you fully see it or not, they have been changed as well. Connections that truly transform us are never shallow. They rearrange something within us. They open doors that cannot simply be closed again. Even now, even across distance, even through silence, they feel you more than they reveal. Some individuals carry deep emotions internally while appearing composed on the outside. Silence does not always mean absence of feeling. Sometimes it means the emotion is so overwhelming that they do not know how to express it. Your presence awakens something within them that they were not ready to face. And instead of leaning into that experience, they stepped back, hoping distance would calm what had been stirred. But it did not. Energy does not require words to move. In their quiet moments, when distractions fade away, you come to their mind. Not because they consciously choose it, but because the connection brings you there. They revisit past conversations. They remember how it felt to be truly seen by you. They begin to notice the difference between how they felt with you and how everything else now feels. That contrast unsettles them. They are not distant because they do not care. They are distant because they do. There are inner struggles taking place within them that were never yours to carry. Old wounds, fear of vulnerability, fear of losing control, fear of being seen at a depth they are not yet prepared for. For some, love does not feel safe, not because of the other person, but because of what it awakens within them. This is where many profound connections begin to fracture. One person awakens more quickly, while the other withdraws from the reflection being shown to them. You became that reflection. You revealed parts of them they had hidden. And instead of turning away from you, they turned away from themselves. Jung explained this idea by saying that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will guide your life, and you will call it fate. Right now, they are being influenced by what they have not yet faced within themselves. But once something is awakened, it cannot simply return to sleep. You cannot unsee what you have already seen. You cannot unknow what you have come to understand. You entered their life to remind them of emotional truth, of softness, of what it means to be genuine with another person. You reached a place within them that had long been silent. That kind of impact does not disappear. It remains. It reshapes things slowly from within. The universe does not bring people together without reason. If this connection were truly complete, it would have ended clearly and cleanly. Instead, it continues to appear in subtle ways, in small signs that catch your attention, in dreams that feel vivid and real, in moments when their name surfaces effortlessly in your mind. These are not mere distractions, they are signals, not urging you to chase, but encouraging you to trust the unfolding of something beyond what is visible. There is a difference between forcing something to happen and understanding that it will unfold at the right time. Your exhaustion is valid. Loving deeply without clarity is a heavy burden to carry. But your hope is not weakness. It is intuition. And intuition does not demand attention loudly. It waits quietly. Beneath the surface, something is shifting. Not outwardly yet, but internally. Resistance is beginning to soften. Fear is being challenged. The heart that once closed itself off is gradually yielding under the weight of its own truth. Whether they admit it or not, the thought of losing you entirely is beginning to feel more frightening than the idea of trying again. This is not the conclusion of the story. It is a pause before understanding, a space where real growth takes place, a quiet moment where alignment begins to form. You are not being asked to wait without purpose. You are being guided to remain grounded within yourself, to stay open without losing your sense of balance. Jung also spoke about patience, not as passive waiting, but as something steady and rooted. The kind of patience that trusts timing while maintaining self-respect. The kind that understands that what is real does not need to be forced. As these words settle within you, notice what resonates without effort. Truth does not need to argue for your belief, it simply arrives. And if your heart feels more at ease rather than more anxious, that is your sign. The connection is not broken, it is evolving. And within that transformation, you are being shaped just as much as they are. But the soul operates in a different way. The soul uses uncertainty as a refining process. It strips away illusions, false desires, and unrealistic expectations until only what is real is left behind. What you are experiencing right now is not simply waiting, it is becoming. You may have already realized that since this connection entered your life, you are no longer the same person you once were. Your emotional awareness has deepened. Your standards have become more defined. You can no longer accept shallow connections or love that is only partially present. Something within you now rejects anything less than what feels authentic, safe, and aligned. That is not by accident. That is the imprint left by a connection at the level of the soul. Sometimes a connection does not come to stay immediately. Sometimes it arrives to awaken you first, to show you what is truly possible, to reveal what your heart genuinely needs, rather than what it was conditioned to accept. And once that kind of awakening takes place, you cannot return to who you were before. Even when the person is no longer physically present, the truth they awakened within you remains alive. This is why letting go feels so difficult right now. Not because you are holding on to a person, but because you are holding on to a truth about yourself that was born through knowing them. You discovered how deeply you can feel, how open your heart truly is, how capable you are of full emotional presence, and the soul does not abandon its own growth. You may also notice moments of doubt appearing unexpectedly. Thoughts like, if this was real, would it not be easier? Or, if they truly cared, would they not show it? These questions are natural, but they come from the logical mind trying to measure something that does not follow logical rules. Soul connections rarely move in straight lines. They move in cycles. They return to the same themes at deeper levels each time, asking for more honesty, more courage, and more willingness to face the truth. What makes this connection feel complicated is not a lack of feeling. It is the difference in timing and readiness. You are ready to open. They are still working through their own resistance. And readiness is not something you can give to another person. It must be earned through inner work, through facing fears that may have been avoided for years, through choosing vulnerability over self-protection. There are moments when they almost reach out, moments when your name is right there in their thoughts, moments when they sit holding their phone, trying to figure out what they would say. But then fear steps in, fear of saying the wrong thing, fear of not being enough, fear of reopening something they do not yet trust themselves to handle. So they remain silent, hoping that time will resolve what only courage can. And yet time keeps bringing you back into their awareness. Because unresolved connections do not simply disappear. They wait. They rise when distractions fade. Late at night, early in the morning, in the middle of empty conversations, in relationships that feel hollow, you become the quiet standard they cannot stop comparing everything to. This is also why signs seem to keep appearing for you lately. Not to keep you stuck, but to keep you steady. When you begin to doubt yourself, something appears to remind you that you are not imagining this. A song that speaks directly to your situation. A dream where everything feels clear between you. A memory that returns with warmth instead of pain. These moments are not pulling you backward. They are grounding you in trust. Trust does not mean waiting in suffering. It means staying connected to yourself while allowing what is truly meant for you to find its way back naturally. There is a quiet yet powerful transformation happening within you. You are learning the difference between attachment and alignment. Attachment says, I need this person to feel whole. Alignment says, I am already whole, and what is truly meant for me will meet me in truth. That shift changes everything. When you stop chasing clarity and begin living in it, the entire dynamic begins to change. Something relaxes. The pressure fades. The connection is no longer fueled by anxiety, but by a grounded sense of presence. And that is exactly the state where real reunion becomes possible. Because if they return while you are exhausted, doubting yourself and shrinking your worth, the connection would only repeat its old patterns. But if they come back when you are centered, self-respecting, and emotionally stable, something genuinely new can begin. Something healthier, something balanced. You are not being delayed, you are being prepared. Prepared to receive love without losing yourself. Prepared to recognize real effort instead of chasing empty potential. Prepared to meet them not as someone seeking validation, but as someone fully grounded in their own worth. They can feel this shift in you, even if they cannot explain it. They sense that you are pulling your energy back inward. They sense that you are no longer waiting in the same anxious way. And strangely, that is what makes the connection feel more real to them. Because now it is no longer guaranteed. It has to be chosen. This is where fear begins to lose its hold. because the real possibility of losing you entirely becomes clear, and reality has a way of cutting through avoidance. The heart begins to speak louder than defense mechanisms. Old memories soften. Regret begins to rise. The desire to make things right slowly grows. You may experience moments of unexpected calm, almost as if you have stepped back, followed by waves of emotion. That is alignment taking root. You are no longer resisting the connection, but you are also no longer losing yourself in it. You are allowing it to exist without needing to control its direction. That kind of balance carries real strength. It signals to the universe that you are ready for truth, in whatever form it arrives. The path between you is not blocked. It is being cleared. Old misunderstandings are dissolving. Inner walls are weakening. What once felt chaotic is quietly reorganizing itself beneath the surface. You do not need to do anything more right now. No convincing, no explaining, no proving. Just remain present. Stay honest with yourself. Stay open without chasing anything. The rest is unfolding in its own timing. As this phase of the journey continues, you may begin to feel it more clearly, not as longing, but as quiet certainty. A knowing that does not seek reassurance, a trust that does not require constant proof. Something is moving toward alignment, not rushed, not forced, but real. There comes a point when longing softens into understanding, not because the connection fades, but because your relationship to it transforms. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and begin to sense, "This is happening for me." That shift may seem small, but it changes everything. It is the moment when pain begins to transform into wisdom. You are starting to understand that this connection was never meant to consume you. It was meant to reveal you, to strip away everything that was not real, and to bring you closer to your own truth. To show you where you had been leaving parts of yourself behind, to reveal the places where you slowly abandoned your own needs without even realizing it. It came to teach you the difference between intensity and true intimacy, between holding on out of fear and remaining because of genuine love. And as that understanding begins to settle within you, the suffering slowly starts to loosen its grip. Your thoughts about them are changing. They arrive with less panic and more stillness. Sometimes they come with warmth, sometimes with a clear-eyed sense of acceptance that whatever happens next must be grounded in honesty rather than fear. This is a sign of real emotional growth forming inside you, something steady and lasting that cannot be undone easily. This is also the moment where the connection begins to reach a turning point, because when one person in a deep bond evolves, the entire dynamic is forced to respond. Energy naturally seeks balance. When you stop chasing answers and begin to live them, things begin to shift. What once felt stuck starts to move. What once felt confusing begins to make sense in subtle ways. And they are feeling this shift as well. Even if they cannot explain it, your energy no longer reaches them as need or longing. It reaches them as presence, as a quiet strength that cannot be ignored or brushed aside. And that unsettles them far more than any pursuit ever could. Silence now carries a different meaning than it once did. It is no longer simply rejection. It becomes a space for inner work, a confrontation with the self. They are being pushed by life to look inward, to face the patterns they once used to stay protected. Avoidance, emotional barriers, control. These habits once gave them a sense of safety, but now they keep them isolated from something real. There are moments when the urge to reach out becomes strong, followed almost immediately by hesitation. That inner push and pull is not truly about you. It is about them standing at the edge of their own growth. Moving forward requires risking real vulnerability. Staying where they are means letting go of something rare and meaningful. That tension cannot last forever. What matters most for you to understand right now is this. The outcome of this connection does not depend on how much you hope. It depends on how deeply you honor yourself. The more you remain true to who you are, the clearer everything becomes. Whether this path leads to reunion or peaceful release, it will no longer break you. It will strengthen you. Yet there is something your soul already senses. This connection still carries unfinished meaning, not because it needs drama, but because it needs truth. Words that were never spoken, feelings that were never fully expressed, choices that were delayed because of fear. These things do not simply disappear, they wait until courage rises. As Jung once suggested, where your fear exists, your task is waiting there as well. Right now, fear stands in front of both of you, asking to be faced directly. Your role has been to trust your own inner knowing without losing yourself along the way. Theirs is to open their heart without hiding behind old defenses. Both of these processes are moving forward, slowly but surely. And you may begin to notice that the idea of reunion no longer creates the same frantic excitement it once did. Not because you care less, but because you now value depth over illusion. You are no longer willing to accept confusion disguised as fate. You want clarity. You want real presence. You want genuine effort. And that inner standard is not pushing them away. It is quietly calling them forward. This is where many people misunderstand deep connections. They believe they are meant to endure pain forever, as if suffering proves depth. But true soul connections do not exist to trap you in pain. They exist to guide you back to yourself first, and then, if aligned, back to each other in truth. And you are stepping into that alignment now. There may be moments ahead when communication opens in unexpected ways. A message that feels sincere, a conversation that carries more honesty than anything before, or even a quiet, energetic shift where everything begins to feel lighter and less strained. Do not rush these moments. Allow them to unfold naturally. Real reconnection cannot be forced or hurried. And if fear rises again, fear of being hurt, fear of hoping, let it exist without allowing it to take control. Fear here is not a warning. It is a memory, a reflection of past pain, not a prediction of what is coming next. You are not the same person you were at the beginning of this journey. You are clearer now, more grounded, more rooted in your sense of self. You no longer need to prove your worth through endless patience. Your worth is already evident in how much you have grown. Whether they meet you at that level is their choice, but they will feel the shift in you. The universe responds to what you embody, not simply to what you desire. And what you are embodying now is different. Self-respect, emotional steadiness, calm, trust. These qualities shift outcomes in ways that effort alone never could. Pay attention to how your body feels when you think of them now. There is less tension, less urgency, more openness. That is alignment. That is your soul settling into what is real. What comes next is not about waiting. It is about allowing. Allowing life to reveal what is true. Allowing love to find you where you genuinely stand, not where you once waited with uncertainty. Allowing this connection to either rise into truth or gently dissolve into understanding without bitterness. And yet, something within you quietly senses that it is not completely finished. Not just yet.